Hello everybody, welcome back to the Panel by Panel Comics YouTube channel with me. Your host today is my Panel by Panel Comics review. Every Monday we have 10 total books, so let's go ahead and get that intro going. But before we get into the actual reviews, guys, if you enjoy comic book content nearly daily all throughout the week, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. So we always have some comic book content to always talk about down in the comment section below. And who doesn't like comic book content? Let's be honest, you're here for a reason. But guys, coming in at the bottom at number 10, unfortunately, we have Catwoman, issue number 86. I was just lost in this issue, plain and simple. I haven't been reading the Catwoman series since the very beginning. Maybe it would make a lot more sense if I did. I just read the most recent issue 85, and now with issue 86, I was just plain lost. It seems like Black Mask is trying to get back at Selena for something that she did in the past, trying to get the help of this woman named Katerina Belov, and it looks like they are going to try to use Holly, the woman from the previous issue who's asking for money from Catwoman, as bait. I was just so lost in this issue. I couldn't really get into it. We get Catwoman who's on the roof deciding what she's going to do, and she's getting text from Holly, and we'll see how that goes for Catwoman, if it goes well, if it goes bad. It was really tough for me to get into this issue. We see that Holly, or she found Holly or whatever, but then after talking to her for a little bit, she's like, okay, yep, you're not Holly, where's my Holly? And they're like, how did you find out so fast? If you win, I'll give you a prize. She rips off this face mask of this woman, and we still don't know the identity of it, but then we see with a black light that Holly is where, the home is where Holly is, all over this, this house that she found Holly in. And then they go after this dude named, can't really remember what his name is. Samuel Slam Bradley. They go after this character. Basically just drives a truck and they start targeting him. We'll see if Catwoman can get to him in time to help save him from whoever's coming after him. But Catwoman, I gave it a C-. It wasn't that good of a book. It comes in at the bottom of my panel by panel comic review. Next, another DC book. We have Nightwing, issue 137. Now, this wasn't that bad of a book. It's not for me. It's not for me personally. And I think that's why comic books are so great, because a ton of people can love this book, because I saw it has like a 4.2 on League of Comic Geeks. Me personally, I gave it a 3.5. It's not the best book for me. I couldn't really appreciate it as much as other people have, at least according to Comic Geeks, League of Comic Geeks. But this is just like a small follow-up from the previous issue. We see Dick Grayson be kind of slow to wake up in the morning because he's recovering from that accident that he just got onto in the Bloodhaven highway crash. People are mad at him because he basically did a hit and run. He caused this huge pileup, and then he got up and out of his car and left. And people are like, hey, if that was anybody else, they'd be in jail, and they'd probably be getting a ton of charges against them. A whole boatload of issues would happen from that if that was a normal person. But Nightwing, because he's Nightwing, doesn't have to face any justice. It was a really good argument. I like that. But then there's a shooting going on at the bridge, hence why this issue is titled The Bridge, and Batman shows up trying to help Dick Grayson, and you can really sense the tension between Dick and Bruce, because Dick is like, I got this taken care of, but I will use your help. Just try not to baby me about this. And Batman, Dick is his son. Like, he's very cautious and he wants to be there for him, and especially whenever he goes out in the open and he's yelling out, answer me, there's a gunfire, and Bruce is like, son. He thinks that Dick dies for just that split second, and you can see just the vulnerability in Bruce's eyes under the cowl. And then he did get shot, but it was just a graze, and he knows, oh, they actually missed me on purpose. And this really did hit Bruce in a different way, and it really had him think, like, what is he doing? Why is he going through this? You're supposed to be smarter than this. But then they find out it was these two siblings that are causing all this wreck and damage on the highway. At least the shooting. They're doing the shooting because they're from Romania, and their grandfather built the normal bridge that would have been there, but now they're deconstructing it. They found a body in the bridge, and apparently, according to this book, they have to have a sacrifice for a different architectural building that's remade all the time, or not remade all the time, but just a new building that is made by them. They have to have a sacrifice about somebody that they care about, and the brother wanted to just kill anybody because he didn't have a connection. But Dick gets to the sister first, and he convinces her to basically put the weapon down. And she didn't want to do it in the first place. But she said, my brother, he's so proud of what our great-grandfather built, he won't stop. So Batman goes after the brother, and after he starts to hesitate because she basically conceded, he's like, what? And then Batman brings him in, and it's revealed that she didn't want to do it because she didn't want to kill her fiance. That's really sweet, and I really appreciated that. That was a good ending. And then we get Dick and Bruce just yelling at each other. Dick is very angry because Bruce is worried for him. For good reason, because Dick just put himself in the line of fire of nearly getting shot and killed. And of course, Bruce cares about Dick. He thinks, well, he's his son in his eyes. And it does make you concerned about the mental state right now of Dick Grayson. But he doesn't care, but all that he can hear anytime that he tries to go to sleep, because he's lacking sleep right now, the only thing that he can hear is the sound of cars crashing, breaking glass, screaming steel, screaming people, the accusation of the Witch of Bloodhaven, and the accusatory gaze of the dead. It was a good, solid book, but for me personally, this is going to be it for Nightwing. I prefer other comics to it, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it because I don't think I'm going to like this story arc. So unfortunately, that is coming in at 9th. It was a C+ for me. Still an overall solid book, and I'm sure a ton of people are going to like it, but it's just not for me, guys. That's just my personal opinion. It was still good, but just not for me. Next, another DC book, but this one I actually did really thoroughly enjoy. It just comes in at the bottom of the DC books, or it's the better of the previous two, but this is New Titans, issue number 34, 32 pages for $4. And at the end of the previous issue, we saw that these New Titans came through and burst in, and they're like, hey, we need to get you guys out of here. And everybody starts fighting each other because you can't tell who's who. And Cyborg is like, okay, we need to take these guys out. I'll show them who's real. And it's actually slowly revealed that these New Titans, they are actually real people. They are the real heroes, and they were brought here by Cyborg. Now, that might be confusing because you see Cyborg from the actual Titans, and you just see the continuation fight going on, and it's just finally revealed whenever he comes through this shield or whatever, that this is actually Cyborg. And he says, sorry, I'm late. And they're like, what in the world? Well, he got split into two. So that's the evil Cyborg that's been with them the whole time, making them drink this coffee, making them fall into this false reality that he wants to imagine. That's why you kind of had the repetition of stories, because that's all the robot could think of. And I kind of like the parallels to this of AI and the real world, because this human-like cyborg, the human cyborg side, is like, hey, sorry guys, yeah, this is not good. I'm here to help you guys. And the AI cyborg was just repeating the story over and over because that's all that it could remember. That's all it knows, is because that's all the information that it had. And it's revealed for why this happened, because we know in the KO event, Cyborg went up against Swamp Thing, and at the very end of it, they got split into two because of Alpha and Omega energy. So you had the normal human cyborg, and then the motherboard slash computer side of him. Basically a cosmic reaction, most likely from the mother box. They got separated into two, and then they fight each other all the way through. And the alien cyborg is just trying to make sure that nobody leaves. He just wants them to be happy and be friends. And he's trying to adapt, and a solution wasn't trying to get into progress. He couldn't adapt in time, and it all went kablooey. And it was still a really good book, but at the end, we see Tara fight back, and maybe she will sacrifice to save her friends. We still don't know. The evil cyborg is trying to correct the phrasing of Tara because she changed something. She changed one little word. She said, the gig's not up, and he said, correction, jig. The jig is not, he's trying to correct the phrasing of Tara, and he gets pulled forward, and the jig is not up, silly. This is actually the future, the daughter of tomorrow. This is Eva. And I don't know too much about Eva, if I'm being honest, but Tara's like, what the F, right there in the bottom right. This was still a really good book. I like the direction that Tate Bromble has taken the New Titans. It comes in at number 8. I gave it a solid B. I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully Tate Bromble can keep it going for the next foreseeable future. Next, we have The Thing on the Doorstep. This is issue number 3, 32 pages, $4. We start with Edward and Daniel talking in, I believe it was the summer of 1930. Yes. And they're just having a walk, and Edward is letting out all this pent up frustration and just terrifying stories of what he's been going through, what Athena has been putting him through. And Daniel finds it hard to believe until he brings out like this rock that changes in front of Daniel. And Daniel's like, Edward's like, that's not even the worst parts. And then do you remember old Ephraim Waite from the very first issue, whenever they were making fun of him and he's telling him maybe he wasn't crazy at all and something bad was just happening. And then his head cocked sideways and out of the middle of nowhere he was about to say something, but then a complete mental change occurs and he's like, I'm actually very sorry. I've been under a whole lot of pressure. I'm going to leave. I'll see you next time. Just a very quick, bye. It just leaves Daniel in a state of shock, just throwing his hands up like, what in the world? Then it fast forwards nearly a whole year later to the spring of 1931. A letter gets sent to Daniel and he's like, hey, Edward's been locked up in jail. We need you to come help and get him out of here. And he goes there and they have a big conversation and he's like, I'm not going to let Athena do anything to me anymore. I'm going to kill it. I'm not going to let this happen anymore. And he's like, okay, that's a cool idea. Let's just go ahead, get you back home. Come stay with me and my wife for a little bit. Come stay with us. And they go and he's just rambling on about all this whatever story. And I was pretty confused through this, but then it just slowly derives into more and more craziness. And yet again, as soon as he's about to say something and let out all the craziness, because look at that. That is absolutely terrifying. If that was a real human in front of me that transformed into that, I don't know what I would do. But then you see the eye color change. He goes from Edward to not Edward. That's the best way that I can say it. And then he tries to pull him over and yank the wheel. And then he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And you can just see Daniel's terror. He's just so terrified the whole time. Just looking into what was his former best friend. He's like, I just don't recognize him anymore. And he finally gets home and they basically separate and Edward comes to pick up some books and he just looks completely insane. The change from Edward in the first episode or first issue of this to now, man, it's completely terrifying. And she's like, I don't think that was Edward. And it wasn't, because the dude's insane. It looks crazy, just some of the detail that's put into this book. Then there's a little tea party and Athena shows up and she's like, don't worry, Edward's doing A-okay, while she has flies all over herself and flies on her hands, flies come around. It's like a dead body walking. That's essentially how I view it. But Thing on the Doorstep, a very, very solid issue. I gave this a B for me. Thing on the Doorstep, issue number 3, always delivers every single month. Sorry about that. Next, G.I. Joe, issue number 21. This comes in at number 6. This was a silent issue. It's an homage for the notorious issue number 21 back in the day with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his names, Snake Eyes. This was just a quick check-in on Scarlet and what's been going on with the Arashikage and the Cobra Law. And Scarlet wants to leave, and she wants to leave with Jinx. And as soon as she's about to, Cobra shows up, and it all just goes wrong from there. They show up, they're basically attacking the Arashikage, trying to go get this weapon, and we'll see what that is later on, but we see Cobra Commander show up as well, and you know it's serious whenever Cobra Commander is there. He's got his metal arm because of what happened back in the Dreadnought War. He got pretty beat up, and then you see him just blasting people aside, the samurai of the place. Then you have Storm Shadow and Scarlet and Jinx all trying to stop Cobra Commander from getting the weapon that he's there for. And then he nearly kills Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow nearly kills Cobra. But then, out of nowhere, this woman from the side, this woman Cobra Law, stops the sword from getting to Cobra Commander using the power sword that they are there for. And then they fight each other, and Cobra Commander's like, it's like he just fell in love, you know? He's just looking at her into the reflection. He's just like, you can tell the expression is like, oh my God, I just found the love of my life. And because of that, they're able to get out of there. They blow the whole place to smithereens. Storm Shadow's in there, Jinx is in there, Scarlet's not, and then she gets picked up by, I believe it was, I always forget the names of the two people that came, CoverGirl and Snowjob. They came to return her to the Joes, and they do just that. But we see that Cobra Commander and everybody, Storm Shadow, Scarlet, Jinx, they all got out of there, but they're all just different people coming out. Really good little homage issue here from Joshua Williamson. G.I. Joe, one of the best books going on in comic books. The whole Energon universe is tremendous. G.I. Joe, I gave it a solid B+ this week, or this month, I guess I should say. Next, starting off the top 5, we have another Image book. This is Narco, issue number 2, 32 pages, $4 for this comic book. This issue starts off with Marcus laying next to the dead body of Jess because he passed out, and I don't know how, because I thought she was on the other side of the door, but they're laying right on top of each other, and that makes me think that the murderer kind of moved his body to make him sleep next to Jess, but then he wakes up and there's just cops all around him. They're like, oh, well, this is easy. Do you just want to tell us right now that you did it, or we can just do this the hard way? And of course, he passes out again because they're trying to arrest him, and he just sees Jess and he's like, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault. I should have done better. And then he wakes back up at the station and they're interrogating him, and they're going pretty rough on him. Specifically the black female. I kind of forgot their names. Her name's Violet. That's all I really know. But she's really grilling him, and she's like, this just doesn't look good for you. You might as well just say it right now. But then he explains his condition, his narcolepsy, anytime that he passes out and then he gets too excited / his BPM gets above 200, he passes out. And it's really not good, but they believe him. They don't think that it is him, I don't think, at this point in time, because they kind of move off of him really quick. He's able to get out of there. His lawyer shows up. He's like, you didn't actually read him his rights while he was conscious and able to hear it. So he gets out of prison that way. But they say, make sure that you don't leave the city, you don't leave the state, because we're going to be in contact with you. And then he gets back to his place and he breaks down with his friends, because this was the woman of his dreams. It's the one that he fell in love with, and they were accusing him of murdering her because it doesn't look good. And then they also are like, you're stalking her. You're always outside of her building, outside of the diner, anytime that she's there, which is a fair point. And then he gets back and he finds this information that could show that Ben, the ex-boyfriend of Jess, who we know was pretty abusive, especially verbally, was sending these angry texts just saying, it doesn't work that way, I am going nowhere, last chance, bitch, take me back or else. Pretty damning evidence. So they finally come together and they're like, hey, we actually need you. I think we could use your help trying to get him into jail. So they go off of Marcus and instead they're going after Ben. Marcus is tagging along. Violet doesn't like it, but she's like, okay, fine, whatever. And then whenever they get to the house of the ex-boyfriend, he tries to punch the officer and then she slams him down to the ground. He's like, I'm gonna get you back, you're dead, twink. And then the male officer's like, don't threaten my friend. Meanwhile, he's getting tased and screaming like crazy. It was kind of a good ending. I enjoyed that. Still many issues to go for this Narco series. I don't know if Ben killed him. I'm very interested. I think it might be the friend of Marcus from this issue, because he was there trying to defend him because he knows it wasn't Marcus. I'm thinking maybe it's gay lover that is jealous of his love for Jess. So he killed Jess and now he doesn't want it to be framed on him because he loves Marcus. I don't know. There's a wild, wild guess, but this was still a really good book. Narco issue number 2, I gave a B+ this comic book week. Next, at number 4, we have a Marvel issue. This is Venom, issue 257, part 8 of 9 of, actually, I'm so sorry, it is not Venom. I got one ahead. I guess I misplaced it. Next is Alias, issue number 2. That's a bit of a mishap from me, but this isn't another solid book. I gave it a B+ as well. It basically just follows the story of Jessica Jones trying to solve the murder of those two people. And then also this dude killed his wife and kids. And while Jessica Jones is trying to get to interrogate him, Typhoid Mary's like, okay, that's enough of that bull crap. And she stabs him in the leg after grilling him. And Jessica Jones is like, what in the world did I get myself into? She's really having a lot of just anxiety and self-doubt because she's she's sad right now because she loves Luke, and Luke Cage I'm talking about. And they got into such a bad argument in the first issue, and they were going back and forth, and she just can't open up to him right now. She can't tell him how she feels. She goes back home and gets a call, and she's like, thank God. So surprisingly, this was the conversation that she was dreading all day. It's the conversation with her and Luke. Luke's at some mayor's convention in Florida, and he starts saying, like, Jess, our conversation in the office, and her inner monologue is like, just say you're sorry. And then she says, Luke, look, Luke, I'm not going to say I'm sorry for it. And then Luke cuts her off saying, no, I should have, wait, you're not sorry for what? And then Jessica's like, nothing, I'm sorry. He's like, you're sorry for nothing? She can't say you're sorry. She can't get her words right. And I don't know what it is with Jessica, but she really is having a hard time articulating her feelings to what's supposed to be the love of her life, at least in the Marvel Comics universe. And then they just get into a bad argument, and she was lying to him multiple times, saying, yeah, I'm actually at my house with our kids. It's just really weird. And she's like, can we video chat? Or Luke was like, can we video chat? And she's like, no, they're actually taking a nap. You can't see the kids. And he's like, oh, okay, just give me a photo of them. They're clearly not asleep. They're just there with their grandma. This issue was just so aggravating for me because Jessica Jones just couldn't get her feelings across. But then they go back to this person who sells typewriters, and Typhoid Mary is just so chaotic, just bashing in skulls. They have this kind of heart-to-heart. Jessica's trying to tell her how to do her job, and hey, you can't just like do all this crazy stuff. You have to let me do it. There's a finesse to investigations, and she kind of got her lead through Reddit, and Typhoid Mary snaps back at her. Oh yes, investigations require finesse. It's very funny. They have a really terrible relationship because they don't listen. Well, Typhoid Mary doesn't listen to Jessica, and Jessica just thinks Typhoid's mentally crazy because she is. But it was a really good back and forth. Then they finally go to this woman who sells antique typewriters, because the typewriter that they found, this letter, I guess I never talked about that. That was the big part of this issue, was this letter that they found. And it was made by a typewriter that uses cursive only, and it's like, this takes hours. Nobody's just gonna do this. It's not drawn, it was typed. And then they get fast forward all the way back. You see that it cuts back into the future, and she's doing this. I feel like I'm explaining this issue very bad. Moral of the story, Jessica Jones and Typhoid Mary, they were not working well together. They found this guy. He had a letter that had this symbol on it. He carved it into his hand, and then he ended up killing his wife and his kids. But he's like, I wouldn't do that. I love them. Something came over me. And then you go back to the woman, the elderly lady who has the typewriter. She's like, oh yeah, I sold this one to this dude. And they go to his house. Turns out that he makes a whole bunch of these different, I guess he's a ghostwriter, so he writes a whole bunch of biographies for these celebrities who hire him. And he analyzes, he's like, oh yes, that looks really good. That's a cool bowling green ester machine, early 60s models, my guess. And then as Jessica is investigating around his house, she notices these letters falling out of the refrigerator. And then he starts to panic. He's like, oh God, no, don't go in there. And then he shows that symbol on a postcard to Typhoid Mary, and Typhoid Mary stabs Jessica, and she's like, well, it's hack slash time, Jessica. Really good ending. I'm sorry, that was a really bad explanation of this comic. It doesn't do it justice. I guess you're gonna have to read it. It's yourself. Really good book, Alias Red Band. Issue number 2, I gave a solid B+. Next, back with Venom, issue number 257. This was actually number 3, not number 4. So this has Carnage and Torment. Basically, they're not getting well. They're not going along really well with each other. And it's understandable, but it's also like, hey, you guys, y'all kind of bonded together. Y'all need to do better. But they go to kill Anna Watson and Aunt May, and it goes wrong. And then Flash shows up to stop them. Torment and Carnage separate, and Carnage goes to kill Aunt May, and Torment stays to work on Flash Thompson, who's anti-Venom right now, obviously. So they separate, and they have their own little battles to go along with. And while Carnage is on the way to go kill Aunt Watson and Aunt May, we cut back to Eddie in the hospital, and he's trying to recover, and Dylan is there with him, kind of like poking fun at him, like, dude, you're old, just stay there. We don't have a symbiote there to help you out. And he's like, I have to go clean this up. After it pops up on the news, he's like, I can't stay here. Just give me some pain pills. I'm going to have to go to the Feast Center and try to make this better. So that's happening, and Torment and Carnage are making their way through, and Carnage is thinking about killing these people, and he actually shanks one person and kills them, and Torment can't take that. He's like, what? Did you not hear me? What are you doing? And then Carnage is like, I'm not sure what you're referring to, and then kills another person. And Torment's like, this was a mistake. We should have never done this. And as Carnage is about to kill Aunt Watson and Aunt Parker, then Torment shows up, and he's like, oh my gosh, that's too many spirals. I can't take it. I can't do this. So he yanks Carnage out of the room and then blasts him with the Venom shockers, damn near killing Carnage, which is very important for how the ending of this book goes. Then Venom and Peter show up to try to beat up Torment and save their aunts. They do a pretty good job, but Torment, with the shocking powers, takes out MJ. Peter, while he was worried about MJ, he's like, no, MJ. Torment grabs him with his powers, basically crushes his whole body, breaks his spine or something, and Torment's like, I'll be back for you later. And then as Peter's on the ground, Carnage is talking to him in his ear. He's like, Peter, I can help you. You're dying. Your aunt is about to die. I'm about to die too. Save us, Peter. Save these lives. Life, Peter. Life. And then Peter says, life. Carnage and Peter are bonded, and Carnage's like, oh, this is better than I ever could have hoped for. And wow. Peter and Carnage, I knew it was going to happen because you see all the covers that is about to be released. So we already knew that this was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen like this, and in a Venom book. Very cool. I really enjoyed this. Part 8 of 9 of the Death Spiral event was absolutely fantastic. I gave Venom an A-. Now, for the final two, we have End of Life. This is issue number 3, a DC Vertigo title, 32 pages, $4 for this comic book. Now, we go to the Menagerie at the very beginning, and they're like, hey, we need to do something about this prick that has a stallion tattoo on his neck. Eddie Stallion, and they call up, you'll see in the future, who they chose to go take out Eddie Stallion. But Eddie, after the previous issue, he had this run-in with his friends in the forest, and he goes back to his house to try to talk about it, but then he sees that his dad is in the bathroom, he's grunting, he's like, ugh. Eddie's like, are you all right in there? And he's about to pull out his gun because you never know. Something might have happened, somebody might be in there beating him up. But Eddie gets there, and his dad's like, don't come in, I slipped. And Eddie's like, well, I'm definitely not coming in now. But he gets in there, and he actually helps his dad get cleaned up. You see just some human emotion from Eddie, because he wouldn't have done this in the first or second issue because he was such a big prick. But you can see the evolution of him growing into this actual human that cares about people. And he doesn't know why it's happening. And when he goes to the gas station, he sees Sophie there, and Sophie's really down and sad because one of the people that she cares for died. And Eddie's like, does that happen a lot? And he still doesn't know what hospice means. He's trying to connect. But then, I mean, they have a conversation. He's like, oh, I don't care. That's the stupid prognosis, because he's trying to find out why he feels just so weird. He says, I feel like I can't catch my breath. My head is spinning. I feel like I'm falling. And Sophie's like, sounds like you've got a bad case of your dad is dying. He's like, oh yeah, screw that. No wonder you're losing patience all the time. And Sophie says, I see it all the time in my work. We spend our whole lives seeing our parents as indestructible. The first time anyone is presented with unarguable proof of their parents' mortality, it does a real whammy on you. That's a wildly depressing concept to have thrust upon you. And Eddie's like, well, I really don't care about the dude, but I guess, whatever. I don't think that's it. It's probably just the oatmeal. Just pushing down the feelings after showing some emotion in the previous couple panels. But then he goes into town because they heard of this dude with a giant chicken head. That's, I think that's how it's supposed to be, because he doesn't speak English. He just keeps saying peacock. I think it's just the chicken noise, but it sounds like big cock. Very funny. I really like that play on words from Kyle Starks in this comic book. But then the chicken head has Eddie's kind of like bullshit. He's like, oh, I thought you were here to like kill me or something. I was about to shoot you up, and you're a pretty big guy, luckily, because I can't fight really well. I can't fight big guys. I just shoot them. And he's contacting his boss the whole time, and then he goes ape and tries to kill Eddie Stallion. They go on this whole tirade all through the diner, through the gas station, through the city, and when they get to the gas station, he hoses him down with gasoline, sets him on fire, and it doesn't look like that stops him at first because he keeps following him. He goes to the woods, and as Eddie's like, oh, I can't believe this is actually going to be how it goes, and then he says, hey, cocksucker, remember when I told you I was bad at fighting big MFers, but good at something else? As he has the gun pointed at him, Big Cock just goes, big cock, and then he falls over and dies. That's the end of Big Cock. And he's like, oh, I mean, I was going to really think of a good liner to say there, but I guess you're just dead now. And whenever we go back to the house to see what's up with Eddie's dad, this dude called Drathar shows up, and Eddie's dad puts a gun in his face because it looks like Drathar is there to kill him. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But End of Life, issue number 3, it's number 2 on my list, comes in at an A. Fantastic book, but it was not my pick of the week. Pick of the week is from Buy or Sell. I mean, how could it not be Absolute Batman? Such a good book. Scarecrow is probably the second scariest villain in the Absolute Universe, in my opinion, just below Joker. 1, the design looks amazing. 2, the powers are really interesting because it just seems like he shows up and bad things happen to other people. The fear toxin or whatever that he has to use that fear power that he uses, I guess just fear toxin. It's really interesting, and I can't wait to learn more about this Scarecrow character, Jonathan Crane, how he came to be, why his face looks the way it does. Did Joker create him? Did Dr. Crane have something happen to him that this resulted in what he looks like now and the powers that he has and the fear toxins and stuff like that? I'm very interested. And of course, I mean, they killed Jim Gordon. How can that not be pick of the week? Because that's such a huge swing from Scott Snyder, and I can't wait to see how it follows up. I can't wait to see what more trauma Scarecrow causes on Bruce Wayne. And also, the reveal of the Robins, that's so cool. Slade Wilson being introduced into the Absolute Universe. I can't wait to see how this goes. So many reasons for why, but easily, Absolute Batman was my pick of the week. It's an A+ comic book. But guys, let me know what book was y'all's favorite down in the comments below. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, especially if you made it this far. You might as well. It seems like you enjoyed the video. But guys, this will be coming out on Monday. Maybe. It might be a little delayed because I am heading out to Vegas for the weekend. So there might be a vlog coming y'all's way, potentially next Thursday if everything goes to plan. But guys, always remember, keep reading those comic books panel by panel and have a great rest of your week.